Okay, before we start this video off, I made an appearance on Tyler Wardy's channel. This is a great video going over the LA Kings future. So if you're a Kings fan and you want to get a bigger look at what exactly it is the Kings have in store, check out Tyler's channel. We did a great video talking about the Kings and their overall future. We talked about prospects, contracts, the status of the team, and the projection going forward. So that will be the second link in the description. But in this video, we are continuing our 1 year later series, and man, it's been a while. It's been a very, very long while since we've done a 1 year later, but these still do exist. 1 year laters are the videos that we make for prospects 1 year removed from the 2019 NHL Entry Draft. Now, it's weird because we were supposed to do these mostly a year removed from the draft. But because of everything that's gone on, we're now currently a year and a half removed from the NHL Entry Draft of 2019. Some of the guys in that 2019 draft are playing in their second year after the draft. This would be a 2 years later kind of thing. But because this guy that we're talking about is not playing his draft plus 2 year yet, I think it is valid to talk about the 1 year later scenario because this player we're speaking on, Arthur Kaliyev, is one of my favorites. This video is going over how he went from what was a huge potential swing steal of a pick to a potentially steal swing of a pick. Yeah, nothing really changed here in terms of my opinions on Arthur Kaliyev, where he was drafted and how his draft ranking affects my opinions. Arthur Kaliyev, to me, was the best shot of the 2019 NHL Entry Draft. And yes, I say the best shot, not the best goal scorer. I make this distinction every time we talk about Arthur Kaliyev or Cole Caulfield, but Cole Caulfield to me was the better goal scorer of the draft, meaning that as a goal-scoring machine in all kinds of ways to score goals, finding open space for a one-timer, dangling the pants off of a few guys, taking in a shot on the rush, all that stuff. Cole Caulfield to me was the more complete goal scorer, which was the best in the class, but Arthur Kaliyev had the best shot, and he was the second best goal scorer in the draft, in my opinion. Kaliyev today is 19 years old, born on June 26, 2001, 6'2", 190 pounds. He was a guy who in his draft year posted up 102 points, 51 goals and 51 assists in 67 games played. He was the fourth most productive goal scorer in the entire OHL that season, and there was a very big amount of hype for Arthur Kaliyev as a prospect. He was a guy highlighted by his size and his shot, his absolutely lethal ability to just grip it, rip it, and put it in the back of the net, no questions asked. This guy got a one-timer, this guy got a wrist shot, this guy would suit up on the right side on the power play, just grip it, rip it, and my gosh, he would score a boatload of goals that way. His playmaking was pretty good too. He was a guy who displayed very good puck skills and an offensively capable mind who could create offense off of his stick, find his teammates when they were open, and get a boatload of assists that way. His goal-scoring on-ice metrics were incredible, but there was a problem with Arthur Kaliyev's overall profile. Because when you take a look at what exactly the scouts had to say about him, there was a little bit of a pullback when it came to this guy who displayed so many great offensive tools. It was a combination of his back check, it was his play in his own zone, it was his overall consistency in that territory and his work ethic, because there were many reports coming out from different people who are close to NHL executives around the time of the draft saying things like, even though this guy is so talented, it was kind of established that a few NHL people did not have Kaliyev as a first-round talent, despite the fact that he was really earth-shatteringly good in the OHL. That's why if you take a look at the rankings, people had him as low as 30. Now some had him higher, 23rd by ISS, 21 by McKeen's, 21 by TSN and Bob McKenzie. Personally, in my opinion, I had him in my top 15 because I thought that the talent, the ceiling, the overall capability of the skills that he had, they were great. Like, he had a really good profile as a prospect. It's just engagement, defensive play, and commitment are all very important things too, which is why, despite the fact that he was so good, he dropped to the second round. He was drafted by LA, 33rd overall at the top of the second day. And Kings fans were like, oh my gosh, this was a guy who a lot of people said, if you took this guy in the 20s, it would be a steal, but now we got him at 33. Now, in terms of my overall personal sentiment, I did say in a video before the draft that I did not want the Vancouver Canucks to take him just because of where they were and those defensive issues. That being said, though, I asked around actually a little bit around during the draft, and I asked people, hey, if Arthur Kaliyev had the same work ethic as some of the top guys in this draft, like Peyton Krebs, for example, like Alex Turcotte, if Kaliyev, with the skills that he has, the goal scoring and the overall lethality of his offensive mind, if this guy had the engagement of a Krebs or a Turcotte, how high would he go? And the common answer that I received from some of the very trusted people that I talked to said that, yeah, if he had that, he probably could have been a top 5 talent. He probably could have had a better draft season. And the fact is, if you take a look at that, you're still getting what is a very good prospect at 33rd overall, even without those qualities. So it's up to you now to develop those qualities long term, but let's go over the 1 year later side of things, because what actually happened a year later is very spectacular, because long story short, Kaliyev improved. He scored 98 points with the Hamilton Bulldogs this season in 57 games, 44 goals in that span too. So his goals per game kind of went down a little bit. I get that, but the points per game rounding itself out, the assists actually upping themselves as well in 10 fewer games too. Awesome to see. He actually suited up for Team USA, and for that World Junior squad, he put himself up 6 points in 5 games. We've noted this a few times, but Team USA wasn't really all too well coached. We saw Cole Caulfield getting bottom 6 minutes and not really used to the best of his ability, but at the end of the day, Kaliyev was the top goal scorer on that squad alongside of Shane Pinto, who a lot of people didn't really expect to be as good, but hey, he's up there, he's doing his thing, he's a great prospect as well. But Kaliyev, man, this guy, going into the long-term future, is still one of those players who I think is an absolute steal of a pick at 33rd overall. At the very least, if you don't work out his defensive deficiencies, you don't work out the work ethic, the overall back-check hustle and all that stuff, at the very least, you have a top 6 caliber second-line power play goal-scoring machine, who, if he does translate, could probably put upwards of 20 to 30 goals in a year and be one of the top LA Kings goal scorers long-term. We've seen many guys out there who have made their living in the NHL just by scoring goals and, well, doing nothing else pretty much. We've seen guys who have had an offensive flair, but who can't really do all too much else, especially in their own zone. Guys like Mike Hoffman come to mind. You could debate Phil Kessel as that kind of guy. Kaliyev is a player who I think, at the very least, you're taking a swing of the chance of potentially adding 30, maybe even 40 goals if he reaches his utmost true potential at the NHL level in about 3, 4, 5 years from now. Not to mention the fact that you have Samuel Fashimo too, who is a completely different story, but who is a goal-scoring machine in his own right too. So, long story short, to me, Kaliyev was one of the best value picks that you could have made in the draft, especially at that time. 1 year later, we're confirming that my beliefs are still kind of true, and at the very least next year, when the NHL comes back and the LA Kings suit up once again, I would not be surprised in the slightest if Arthur Kaliyev is given a shot. Give him 9 games. If he doesn't do well, send him back to Hamilton, let him dominate the OHL, make the OHL his pet for the next season, because we know he can absolutely get better with age. He is only 19 years old right now, so we'll see how exactly things are going to go in the next calendar year. But if it is the NHL next year for Arthur Kaliyev, I'm just gonna say, hey man, I'm happy there's probably gonna be a Canadian division, and that my team, the Vancouver Canucks, will not have to face those Kaliyev one-timers on the LA Kings power play, because hey, I would probably not want to do that. So, talk to me in the comments what you think about Arthur Kaliyev, one of the more sleeper, upside potential picks that was taken over there in the 2019 draft. And you know, when it comes to the 1 year later series as a whole, there still are a few other guys who were indeed taken at the 2019 draft that I want to talk about a little bit more. So we'll see if we actually do a few more 1 year later videos. I know these were very popular with all the fans, so I would be very open to just talking about more prospects that were taken in 2019. There still are a few more in the top 15, I guess, that we need to go over. But for the most part, this is a fun series to talk about. I love talking about the future of the league. Arthur Kaliyev is a part of that. And if you're a Kings fan looking for more Kings stuff, hey, you know where to go. Tyler Wardy's video, man. Check that out. I was on there talking about some Kings stuff. So talk to me in the comments what you think about Arthur Kaliyev and the Kings. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.